All right. So, Katie, I'm so happy to be here speaking with you today.
Oh, well, I'm happy to be with you, Grace.
Yeah. So as you know, it means so much to me to do the work on eating and body and compulsion and all the suffering that happens around that. And
Mm.
I was just so eager to ask you questions about some of your experience with that and working with people. And Um, one thing I was so curious about is you said just a few little things about your life before the work.
Uh-huh.
And one is I think you were really heavy in weight. Like what was
Oh
your,
my gosh, I was over 200 pounds. I don't know how much, maybe 4 or 6 pounds, but it was horrendous in my world.
oh,
Just it was I was, oh my goodness, the self-loathing I experienced around that identity of what I saw in my mind's eye as what I could be, as opposed to what I saw when I looked in the mirror. And that's not a matter of body size. I've come to understand, as I continued to to live in inquiry, and I've come to see that it's a state of mind. People with perfect bodies, as let's say the majority of people would agree that's the case. It doesn't mean that person sees themselves that way. So it really isn't a matter of um, obese or thin or in the middle. It's a state of mind. Now, what I like, Grace, about, like, I consider myself to be in the middle, and I'm so comfortable in there. For me, it's balance, like a balanced mind, a balanced body, not as others would see it, but as I experienced it. But my mind had to balance before I found this beautiful functioning. I'm 76 years old, and I see my body as beautiful and high functioning and healthy. And what else could it be with a mind like mine that is the perceiver? So the more inquiry I do, the more of the work I do, the clearer my mind, the clearer, the healthier, the kinder the food choices I make. And so I didn't plan it that way. It just is. It's insane to eat arsenic. Let's say we all know better, unless we want to leave this world and take that trip, or or just stay in this world as we perceive as suffering. We don't just say, oh, I think I'll have some arsenic today, and this is the day. We don't say that lightly and and mean it. And so that is um, a very dramatic example. And nonetheless, when we get to the subtle, we know, like fruits, vegetables, there's some things that all the scientists agree to, and all of the people that have known what you and I have been fortunate enough to come to understand on the best choices for the body. And it doesn't mean we are always we always opt for that, but we know the difference, and we know also the effects of eating one way or another. And that gets down to some real subtleties, and that's why I love what you give us in the world. Is you really get down to not just your practice, but the way you pass it on, are able to work with people to step into the same experience. And I'm so grateful. It's like living in hell until for some of us, and until we find a higher understanding.
yeah. Wow. So that's so, yeah. So something shifted, obviously, and I know what that's like to find the stress dissolving and then feeling acceptance wherever you are in the body and then watching it change if it does.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's an example of that?
Well, I was thinking some people come and they say they're so heavy and they want to lose weight. They just feel
Mhm.
very determined to lose weight. And they feel so self-critical. Often people with this feel incredibly, they just want to do the work on themselves because they're so
Yeah,
harsh and critical on themselves. So they don't want to turn it outwards.
yeah,
And yeah, to kind of like to feel acceptance of a heavy body,
yeah.
they find it really difficult. Yeah. What do you say to somebody who, let's say they are really heavy and they want to lose weight? And I know what it's like for people. I've certainly had that when they really aren't that heavy and they still feel very critical.
Yeah, yeah. Again, we're pointing to a state of mind.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so here's what I say to people: that guilt is, the basics. Guilt is like the most fertile ground there is for compulsive overeating or not eating at all.
Mm.
Like what we refer to as eating disorders, which in my world are thinking disorders.
Yes.
In our world, thinking disorders. And so if I say or do something unkind, or if I say or do something that I perceive hurts you, it was hurtful and it just popped out of my mouth, or it was intentional because I'm holding resentment,
Mm-hmm.
then the the way people's minds work that have I'll use the term eating disorders, thinking disorders, eating disorders in this particular case. Um, the first thing that comes to mind is an image in our mind's eye of food we've eaten in the past, and that food happens to be the food that really you know at the top of the list anesthetizes our heads. Like we can just eat a particular thing. For one person it doesn't work that way, but let's say for me it's a way of getting stoned.
Uh-huh.
Literally, i'm I'm stoned. Some people prefer drugs. Some of us just give me chocolate or give me whatever it is, our drug of choice in the food area. And we don't know we're doing it. It's completely innocent. All we know is we don't feel good. There's something wrong. I'm depressed. No one cares about me. All of that. When the only thing that's happening is I'm fighting an image of the past in my head where I saw that food and felt its I felt its effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
And and then and then it was that feeling is anesthetizing before we even put the product in our mouth. It looks like the answer. Now that is life in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that, and we see that when no one loves me and life is hopeless, at least I still have blah blah blah, the ice cream. That's a great quick fix. It's just like mainlining for some of us. It's just, oh my gosh. And especially those of us that don't do well with dairy, and I certainly don't do well with sugar. And some may and some of us may not. But anyway, my drug of choice comes to me as I see those images of the past. If I've said or done something to hurt you, to hurt me, something unkind, and in my opinion, not the world's, and because that's all we can really go with.
Right.
And then I see an image of that food as I see it in the past. I see it. It looks simultaneously, really, back and forth, really. But I see I see me actually eating it in a future, and that future looks like as quickly as I can get to the refrigerator. That's the future. It's like a nanosecond future. But those images of the past and what I said and did, and me in bed all those years, agoraphobic and really in what people were referring to as an eating disorder eventually, and alcoholism and drug addiction. It doesn't matter if food's involved. It's the same thing for some of us, and it really keeps us. It leaves us in a state of vulnerability for anything. Even addiction to a person in our life. We can't live without them either. But I'm really packing a lot in, but I just consider our time together so valuable, and I so appreciate what you're bringing to the world. It's like you not only do the work, you kind of specialize in within this topic, and it serves so many people, and we're just lost. Anyone addicted to anything is just they're just believing their thoughts, and haven't realized how to question them, or their mind tells them, "Oh, I'll do it later. I'll do the work later." Or da, 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 da. So, to answer your question more directly, Grace, the guilt is the breeding ground for addiction, and guilt is we're believing what we're thinking. And those images of past, future are how we react when we believe those thoughts. So we identify the thoughts, we question them, as everyone hopefully, well, the work is always free on thework.com, and you're up there as well. And it's a wonderful way to end these thinking disorders that are the cause of these eating disorders, addiction disorders that we're acting on. Yeah. And it's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah, which is nice to share with people, that it doesn't have to happen instantly when they feel so desperate, or if they have trauma in their background. You just begin.
You just begin to question the thoughts about situations in your life, not work on yourself, but situations in your life. And when you write your thoughts down about that, those thoughts are yours. So you are actually working on yourself when you judge someone else. And it's you're always working on yourself. What I think about you is my problem or my pleasure.
So, Katie, I love this phrase I've heard you say. I think it was about smoking, like, I didn't quit smoking, smoking quit me.
Mm-hmm.
The same way.
Yeah, as I became sane, actually, I became sane in an instant, and the work, through the work, I've been able to maintain it all these years. It's this awareness that I was gifted 30 years ago, and I saw how all suffering was created, and when I saw that, after that experience, eventually, I picked up a cigarette just as a matter of course. That's my life, of course. So I picked up a cigarette, and it looked crazy. It looked insane. And that's how I can describe it after the fact today. But during that experience, I held it up, and it was like, I picked it up. It was just natural. And then when I saw it in my hand, it was like, it's going to do what? With what? It's going to, what? It looked in. I'm going to suck this in for what? And it's going to do what? And it's going to, and there were no answers. It was just crazy. So people that work with you, and they judge people in their lives and see how they reacted when they believed the thought. That's where guilt shows up. That is why we feel guilt. And so we begin to get sane, and our patterns begin to automatically quit us. not as radically as I experienced for some of us, but over time is how it was held by me. And those of us in the work, and um, I'm sure you see this a lot. It's a practice. It's a practice in sanity, how to get sane. We write our unkind thoughts on paper, what we're thinking and believing about people, and how we saw situations to have happened. And yes, they happened. Yes, that person was absolutely wrong. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, 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 yes. Put it all on paper and then question your part, how you reacted when you believed the thoughts on the paper. And then when you turn it around, just it's a practice that over time leaves us saner,
Yeah.
more sane, less crazy, less painful, less reactive. Those addictive personalities just fall away, and we can even see the way we reacted reverse, um, um, like like the two of us are able to live a life, or I'm assuming this onto you, but I can see I'm able to live this, and I look at your smile now. So we're able to live this life that makes sense to us and in service to others. And as we continue to grow and the people around us continue to understand this practice, and it's about just meditating in ourselves, within ourselves. And it does take, it's a mindful practice, a mindfulness experience in our own selves. And it is up close and personal. But if I can live it, I can question it, no matter how much we may be afraid of it. Looking at ourselves, we can just kind of put our toes in the water and just begin where we can begin.
Remember you were saying when you sort of had your huge shift of consciousness, and then there's one little story about how you said you didn't feel like eating at one point for 27 days or something like that.
Yeah, it was a long period of time, and and I certainly don't recommend that to anyone. But I was over 200 pounds, and obviously, what I was doing wasn't dangerous, but I certainly don't prescribe it. I was in a radical state of mind, and in a very good way, but that would not wear well. It's just a lesson, for anyone with an eating disorder to take on. It's, we already know that one. And maybe it's not 20 something days, but we know that one. And we know what happens on the other side of it. We binge, because the problem isn't solved. The cause has not been cured. And the cause is what I'm thinking about me, about you, about the world, and how I'm going against my true nature when I believe unkindly or unfairly regarding the world.
Yeah, beautiful. No, well, I know too, like at your turnaround house, there's a structure for food and eating. And sometimes that kind of, I don't know, I think of it like a scaffolding, some kind of that a little.
Yeah, people don't know how to eat. It's like, well, I've done the work, and yeah, I'm allergic to sugar, or let's say, yes, sugar just throws me into a binge mode or whatever it is. But some people don't even know. They don't know how to prepare the food. They don't know what to prepare. They just don't know what a balanced diet is. And that balanced diet is literally medicine for the head and body, the mind, body, and then the spirit lifts. It can get through all of that fog and smog that are creating in our heads, and the food we eat as a result of that, like cause and effect.
That's a
So
lot.
yes, at Turnaround House, we what I did was I went to all of the most all of what are considered to be the healthiest diets on the planet, not for gaining weight, not for losing weight, but the healthy, the basics. And I put them all together to see what they all had in common.
Oh.
And what is a correct portion? Who knows that, Grace? We don't. And well, this isn't enough. Well, that's too much. So I put together for average weight, what that is for each of us, and it just fell into two categories. Basically, it it's healthy and you don't gain or lose, or it's healthy and at Turnaround House you lose a lot, and because you need it, or it's healthy and you gain because you need it, and needing it, I'm looking at just what has been determined by doctors, scientists, and all for your weight, the average healthy weight is. And what we have at Turnaround House, people just, they gain or lose, and we weigh once a week, and it's not our business what we weigh. We're just witnessing the effects of how we're living.
Yeah.
And how to prepare that food, how to shop for that food. It's all, they do it themselves. And then of course, when we're not eating and preparing the food, we are doing the work. And that's really where everything starts to make more sense. And food becomes just something like you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you do your job, you brush your teeth and go to bed. And food is just that, just the same as that. It's a way of life. It's energy. It's medicine that allows our minds to click, and at the highest capacity. Now, a lot of people are smarter than I am, and there are some people less smart. There are some people talented over there, and I have no talent there. It leaves me like it leaves you, in what we can do and can do well. And for some of us, that could just be just sitting back in life, reading a book, and just doing the dishes, preparing the food that works, and the medicine that works, and no big deal, and taking the kids to school. Just greatness to me is just being happy in life. That's it. Just being happy in life, and when I'm in service to myself, others. I'm a one. I'm a one too, and in other words, it's equal. Everyone, um, everyone's seen for who they are and what they contribute, and if it's nothing more than a smile, I'm good. An authentic smile.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I love that you wrote this. I wrote this down, Katie, from Loving What Is. The body is never our problem, but only our thinking.
Yeah. My body, if I stuff my body, it's going to do what it does. It's going to show me by its own evidence my mind is off. I have to make those choices. I just don't, I hold resentments, et cetera. And if we do the work, that completely shifts. You're not thinking, is this too much? Is this too little? Is this, at Turnaround House, when people come in, they're, oh, you sure this is enough? Or, oh, this is way too much. I can never eat all of this. And it's the same menu, depending on their weight. And you look at someone really, really tall, and what is served there is more than then exactly the same thing in smaller portions.
Mm-hmm.
So the taller one could say, "Oh, this is too much. I need that smaller portion." And the short person that gets the smaller portion is, "Oh, this is not enough. I need the tall person's." So we're and we just notice and go through what we do, and then we do worksheets, mother, father, sister, brother. In other words, where who am I angry at or disappointed in today, and in my mind. So we just work through that, and we find out that food really is medicine. We get it from experience.
Lovely.
And it gives us that month taken out of our lives just to come to test that for ourselves. And even if we think we're going to die of hunger, or if we're going to explode if I have to eat all of that. And of course, no one has to do anything. It's just something like that we offer.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so that's sweet. I love that there's like that structure. I just find that's one thing that's very helpful for people. They can learn if they don't know how to eat at all or don't know anything about.
Yeah, and the main thing in the whole reason for that is to get in touch with our sanity.
Yeah.
And what gives us that sanity, and that is sitting in the practice of inquiry.
I love that. Getting in touch with our sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what is too much or what is enough. We overeat. Oh, I ate too much, but it's like I'm just guilty now. It doesn't mean I'm looking at it or considering it or really getting close. Well, what is too much, and why am I thinking that way, and what was I thinking and believing before I binged, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Love that. Have you found it helpful for people to do the work on the body? I sometimes find it, all that criticism on the body is interesting. Just judging.
When people, as people understand the work and the power of the work, or then start them out immediately. Just if I believe my body is is just hopeless, that it's too late for me, I'll never change, so I'm just going to live this way, 200 pounds, and I'm just going to live this way the rest of my life, and there's I just give up on that. And so when I question that, my body is hopeless, then I write down my thoughts, and then when I turn it, my thoughts about the body, and a worksheet on my body, then I question my thoughts, and I see how hopeless my thoughts are when I'm thinking of my body, and it begins to make sense that I don't want to lead anyone, but it begins to make sense that the problem is my thinking. It's not my body. My body's a perfect servant. If I overfeed it, it'll show me it gets big. If I underfeed it, it'll show me I get small, and physically. And so what am I thinking and believing that would make it go up and down like that? Or if I'm on a healthy diet, let's say, why can't I stay on that healthy diet? It's healthy. It's crazy not to. The head goes, and so my body is never out of order. It's just the kindest little traveler for the mind, showing us, if you're not in the middle somewhere, where are your thoughts too heavy, and where are they not true for you? That's the basics of inquiry: is what is true for you and what is not true for you in your experience. And we just do the work, and the body just kind of follows. This my body isn't healthy. What is truer? My body isn't healthy, or my thoughts about my body?
Mm-hmm.
isn't healthy. So in this moment now, my body is what it is. Let me work on what is heavy, this heavy thinking about my body, who's just simply here to mirror back my thinking.
Yeah. I love that. My thoughts are fat. You think you're
Mm-hmm.
fat. They're like
Mm-hmm.
extra and, waiting and depressing or whatever.
Yeah, the depression. When I think, like when you say my thoughts are fat, my body's too fat, my thinking is too fat. And it's around my body. They're just so heavy and serious and killing me.
Yeah.
And the body is simply just mirroring that back by how I feed it or starve it.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Well, one other question. I love this. You said there's no such thing as an addiction to an object, which is really what you're saying. I noticed this too. It's just my thoughts, my thoughts. So there's really just an attachment to this uninvestigated concept in the moment. So, the food or the thing or the substance, it's just doing its job, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so the only addiction is I'm addicted to what I'm thinking and believing. My identity depends on it. And when we start doing the work, we question our thoughts and we're left with the answer to that ageless question, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a it's a beautiful journey that I certainly invite the world to, and what you're doing so well.
I love that food and eating is such a deep journey. Who am I? So
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that identity that the ego would set up.
Yeah.
I am too fat, I am too thin, I am hungry, I am not hungry, this is too much, this isn't enough. Who am I? Who am I? It's it's like I'm hungry. How do I know that's true? It's why? Because I think so. And when was the last time I ate? And what did I eat? Well, why am I so hungry? It doesn't make sense. I'm hungry. Well, it's um, it, it is dispiriting, and inquiry will give us the answer to all of those questions. And again, what what is revealed is who am I that thinks I'm hungry after I've just eaten?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy. Yeah, I learned so much with all of that. And when I first ever went to the school for the work, it was just
Yeah.
so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a quick course in that body capsule. I just 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 keep on doing it. Just keeping on.
Yes. I love that. Like just continued practice,
Yeah.
meditation.
Mm.
Don't just do it one time.
No, we're thinking all the time. It's nice to know what's true and what's not. So we're not just ourselves the blind leading ourselves the blind, and to live out of what we're thinking and believing and what goes on in our heads. It really is crazy making. Well, to question what we're thinking and believing leaves us as kinder, more awake, caring human beings, and that are able to easily live out of that because we're not bombarded with misinformation in our head and mind's eye.
Yeah. Well put. Beautiful. Gosh. Thank you, Katie.
Oh, honey, you're so welcome. Any way I can serve what you're gifting the world, I'm here as long as I'm able to.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so
You you're welcome.
much.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Hello. Thank you, Grace.